What's up, everybody? Chris Flook here. Chris Flook Podcast, episode number 167. I had some crazy conversations these past couple weeks, man, and it all kinds of revolves around this idea. One decision, one day, can greatly alter your life, for good or for bad. Somebody was telling me, when I was little, my mom was running late to pick up my sister, and when she got to school to pick her up, there was an adult male there talking to my sister. When my mom arrives, this guy takes off. What would have happened, say, if the mother ran an extra 5 minutes late, right? That story right there reminded me of Mystic River, where there's three childhood friends, Sean Penn, I think Tim Robbins is his name? Yeah, Tim Robbins and Kevin Bacon. Great cast, great movie. Makes you want to cry, though, at some points. So these three boys, they're playing out on the road, and then two men show up. They say they're police officers. These kids value, respect their police officers. Turns out they were not cops, right? So two of the kids lived within walking distance of where they were playing, so they walk home. That third kid lived a few blocks away, lived on the other side of town maybe. So the cops said, "Get in, we'll give you a ride home." That kid disappears for a few days. Nobody knows what happened to that kid. He comes back to life, pretends like nothing happened. But everybody in the town, there's always these little whispers about what happened to the young Tim Robbins character. Kevin Bacon and Sean Penn's character, they have a conversation at some point like, man, what if we would have gotten that car that day, right? One decision, one day, could greatly alter your life. We talk about things like the butterfly effect. Another movie reference here. I remember that Ashton Kutcher movie back in the day. The flap of a butterfly's wing, right? On the other side of the country. Greatly, it'll affect the local ecosystem that it's in. And then the local ecosystem will affect a larger ecosystem, and then that larger ecosystem affects an even larger ecosystem, right? So that one little flap of a wing in one side of the country could affect the local ecosystem. Sorry, not the local ecosystem. Could affect the ecosystem all the way across the earth as it kind of compounds and it grows, all right? That's what that effect is. It's that one flap of a wing. It's that one decision. It's going to alter the local community and then beyond. I've got friends that, they've hung out with a rough crowd. Some people have decided at this certain point, there's a little fork in the road, they decided to go this way. Some of their friends went the other way. Some of their friends, some of the people that I grew up with, some of my friends, relatives, right? They went a different path. And they're no longer here because of that path. They started hanging out with the wrong people, started dabbling with the wrong things, right? And guess what happened? That one decision on one day took them on a path that they were never able to physically come out of. We went to go see the movie She Said, Marisa and I. Sorry, let me get to the positive sides of the butterfly effect. There's those other people, right, that decided enough's enough. All right, they made that one decision on one day, and they went on the right path, right? There's still that side of it all. 10 plus years ago, I'm training people at LA Fitness in Easton, man. Marisa just had a birthday, and it made me think about this. I don't know if I would know Marisa. I don't know if I'd have this wonderful farm. I don't know if I'd have this wonderful daughter. If that one guy, sorry, my cat just got me. I don't know if I would have all of those things if that one sales manager would not have put Marisa in my training schedule. I remember the day, the name was Maris. And I'm like, Maris? Maurice? How do you pronounce that? Turns out it was a typo. Puts her in my training log, my training book, my training schedule. Our friendship occurs for a few years. Then, we take it to beyond friendship level, I guess you would say. And now, we've got all this great, wonderful things, right? One decision by that sales manager on one day greatly changed my life for the better. Now, we saw the movie She Said, which is about that creep of a man, Harvey Weinstein. Some of these victims and near victims, right, it all got to this point where they're like, hey, they're young girls, they're in their low 20s. They apply for a job at Miramax. I'm going to go work for this great movie company. It's like you start by running errands, and then you start by doing this, that, and the other thing. And with each little decision that's made, a boundary gets pushed, all right? And eventually, that guy, Harvey Weinstein, over 82 women, I think, came out and said that he crossed the line with them, right? And there's crossing the line of varying degrees, but he crossed the line. And that's only 82 that spoke up. This premise of this movie was about having the power to speak up, feeling like, you won't be ashamed, you won't be ostracized by sharing your story. This movie was about these two women that were investigative reporters that decided enough is enough. This type of behavior in the workplace should not be accepted for women. They were mothers themselves. They had little girls. Some of the victims, now that are in their adulthood now, some of this stuff happened in the 90s, right? Now they're adults and they have one daughter, two daughter, three daughter. They're like, you know what? If I don't speak up, this stuff might not get corrected. My daughters might go into the workforce. They might go into a workplace. And they might be treated in the same way. So we have to remember that butterfly effect, that one decision that one person can make on one day can greatly affect the future trajectory of people. All right? Can affect the future trajectory of your family, of your neighbor's family, of some other larger scale operation here, right? Your whole community, the whole state, the whole nation, right? That one person that decides I'm going to speak up and I'm going to tell somebody, I'm going to speak my mind, and I'm not going to give up. When people tell me I'm crazy and nobody wants to listen to me, I'm not going to stop. Because that one decision on one day could greatly affect the world to become a better place. We're not going to be able to get rid of evil creeps like Harvey Weinstein, but what we can do is do our best to stop it from spreading to that certain level, from getting them from the get-go, from doing whatever we can. If there's some wrongdoing done to you, you're going to have to speak out. We're going to have to try to get this thing fixed. We're going to have to try to eliminate some of this behavior. And if you could do it in your local community, hopefully that could expand into the larger area and you can make the world a better place. It was a good movie. Every time I see movies about these investigative reporters and their feistiness and their courage to write and to push and to push and to travel, everything that they do, I'm like, man, I'm always envious of that job, even though their whole life's in shambles. Personal life's always in shambles. I seem to always forget about that side of it. They're never home. They're taking calls at all hours of the night, whatever. But man, I always love those stories, man. Spotlight was another great movie. And even on a lower level, man, some of these other stuff that Netflix puts out that has investigative reporters in, man, I value their, I value that position, man. It's important to have those type of workers that they could put stuff out in the paper so that we can be that it can be heard, that they could put stuff online, right? That they don't stop even though the whole world is telling them stop, that they still keep fighting and they still keep pushing. That courage is important. That courage is highly valued. And remember, one decision one day could greatly alter your life. Every decision matters. Everything that you do matters, all right? Let's try to make the right decisions each and every day. Hope you guys like this. Chris Fook Podcast available everywhere. Google, Stitcher, Spotify, YouTube, Apple. ChrisFook.net's the website. Go there. You'll get a weekly newsletter sent to your inbox 7:30 a.m. every Sunday. It's called The Weekly Word. If you got kids, we've got training programs going on. We're trying to build strong, resilient kids so that when they get older, they will have the courage to speak up, right? That's what we're trying to do here. And we're trying to affect the local community. And then when these kids get out in the world, right, they're going to be able to create some great positive change out there. Hope you guys like this episode. Peace, everybody.